Charged her to secure a lower rate. If you want to work with a lender you can trust, give us a call now at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. 855-563-2843 or visit our website 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, MLS 1124061.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Hello, hello. Hope you're doing well today. Hope you're happy, healthy, and safe wherever you are. And we've got a lot to talk about today, of course. I'm sure there's a lot on your mind with news. I've said for quite a while, name the thing, right? Name why people are suffering, why costs are going up. And I was excited. Not excited. Excited is a little bit of an overstatement, but I was satisfied, content with the fact that Amazon had announced that they would be labeling what the cost of an item was applicable because of a tariff. And then it apparently, as soon as BS Barbie in her press conference today for the White House said that the Amazon is taking a political stance because they were naming the thing. And of course, Jeff Bezos folded. And there you go. Name the thing, folks. So I guess, does it work to, name it separately? I don't know if there's something that you purchase regularly, would you just keep track or maybe I'll blast it out there like things that, what it costs today as opposed to when our shelves in stores and when the stock at Amazon or when the tariffs are really starting to take effect on the cost of things. Because they say that we're about, and by they, I mean the people who are tracking these things. I know I often say they, or I've heard, but the people who track, whether it's the reserving cargo, the containers, making those reservations at ports in order to have them delivered throughout the country and have semis, show up at the docks and pick up these containers. Those reservations are down in certain places between 44% and 64%. So how long do you think that's going to start to affect what's on our shelves, the jobs that people have in order to stock those shelves or move those products? I don't know who they're going to blame that on in the next 2 weeks to a month as to why the cost of items are going up, why going out. I was out today and someone was complaining to the server about they now have an increase for a certain drink. It's like a $2 upcharge for ordering it a different way. And, I was sitting there, I'm not going to get into it with them. For whatever reason, I'm sure that, she said the server told him that was just their new policy. I think it was like if you want something on the rocks or whatever the drink was, and I thought, well, there's a ripple effect, whether it's the cost of labor, if it's the cost of the bottles that products come in, or it's going to affect every single aspect of shopping, of going out to eat, of entertainment. Whether they're people that are traveling to the United States anymore, they're firing people in some of the destinations for tourists, and Chicago's gonna be one of the places that suffers as well. And of course, our big draws, like I'm guessing, well, I know for sure Vegas is laying folks off. They've been laying off valets and servers and people that work in the hotels because their reservations are down. It's going to be a lot, folks. But it's that whole range of emotions. Like, yes, Bezos is putting his foot down. He's going to tell people how much the tariffs are going to cost on items from Amazon. And then a couple hours later, never mind. Okay, well, it's fine then. I'm feeling a little bit, somber today. I attended the funeral mass for Captain David Meyer this morning from the Chicago Fire Department. It was an incredible service. I grew up here on the northwest side of Chicago, where we broadcast from, just about 10 blocks away from here. I went to grade school at Onahan, where I knew David Meyer from when I was in first grade until I transferred out in fifth grade. And I can't quote some of the things that a few of the firefighters who gave eulogies today. I think I can say this. Apparently, one of Dave's things to say to other firefighters was, "Don't be an a-hole today." And I was telling some of the guys outside, because I grew up with a bunch of firefighters and cops, and I was telling one of the guys that I knew that there were a lot of a-holes in my class. And maybe Dave learned how not to be one from those guys. I ran into a classmate in line last night at the funeral home. There was a line for the visitation that it was about an hour and a half to 2 hours waiting to pay our respects and say our final goodbyes. And there was a kid behind me. There was a guy behind me who I had also gone to school with, and I would never have recognized him. I didn't want to be like, "Hey, not for nothing," but I mean, I would be sad if you were gone, but I don't know if I would wait in line for an hour and a half. That was a testament to who Dave Meyer was his entire life. Even as a kid, he showed the kind of kindness and sense of humor to people who often needed it the most. And in his actions as a firefighter, of course, gave the ultimate sacrifice as we lost him last Wednesday. So I was thinking about it today on several levels. The people I grew up with in this community. This is an interesting neighborhood when it comes to. I guess, and there's nothing political about the loss of a firefighter, except when I see people who want to use it as an excuse to attack those who are mourning. It's just not today. Not today. Like, why would you pick this moment to be like, this is what I saw one, and I'm talking about people who claim to be liberals or Democrats, and this guy's like, people die in our neighborhood every day. You don't see ribbons out on Milwaukee Avenue. Look, I'm going to tell you something. My father passed away in this neighborhood, and I would not expect people to be lining up on Milwaukee. Our family grieved. His friends grieved. It was his memorial reflected the life that he lived and the people that he touched. It just so happens that there are those who serve in a way in our communities and touch so many lives that it's going to be different. And I was just so surprised to see someone politicize it that way. At any rate, I would just say thank you to those who made today such a magnificent celebration of life as we grieve the loss of Captain David Meyer. And if you saw any of the footage on TV, I know all three of the news outlets in Chicago were covering it. It was truly incredible, and I can't thank the people who spoke today enough. I know how hard that can be. People who traveled from all over the country. There was one guy who Captain Meyer had driven to New York after 9/11, after the attacks, and he wanted to be there to help in any way he could, and made apparently a lifelong friend as a result. And I would say, tell people that you spend time with in any way. I mean, look, I know we're not all going to get all sappy and be like, hey, just so you know, I really appreciate you. I know it's always funny when people say I appreciate you, but just, whatever way you can, show some sort of token of your gratitude, of your admiration for them. Let's not all say great things about each other when we're not here to hear them anymore. So I know that in life he was well regarded and loved, and people express that. Anyway, what's on your minds today? We have until we have an interview at 5:30 with one of the attorneys that's going to be working with Judge Dugan in Milwaukee. So let's go ahead and open up the phone line, 773-763-9278. That's the number to call and join our conversation. Today at 5:30, we are going to be talking to an attorney who's taking on this incredible case with, you may have, I'm sure you've seen the footage now, of a federal judge in handcuffs. We're going to talk to Stephen E. Kravit, who's an attorney out of Milwaukee and former federal prosecutor, and he's going to talk to us about the arrest of Judge Hannah Dugan. And we'll check in with our friend Ben Cominos, the host of Outside the Box on WHBY in Appleton, Wisconsin. And coming up in the last half hour of the show, we're going to talk to family therapist and author Debra Wallace, who's going to talk about her book, How to Train My Brain, a personalized and playful guidebook for children and their caregivers. I look forward to that. At any rate, let's see what's on folks' mind. Hey, Jim, thank you for calling in. What's on your mind, my friend?
I was just thinking about George Santos. I was wondering if the MAGA party would give him a pardon put him in charge of the border or some other job.
Right.
Because, first of all, when you think about it, Santos didn't steal as much as Bannon or didn't steal as much as Paxton down in Texas. He's running for the Senate. I mean, these guys stole hundreds of thousands. Georgie boy only grabbed a paltry sum, but he got 7 years. It's just amazing. I know justice is blind, Patty, but I mean, we're living in this is unbelievable. But you think he pardoned him? What do you think? George what did he?
I don't see the Republicans like circling the wagons around a drag queen. I mean, I think they tried their best because they needed his vote, right? They needed him because he was a member of their caucus. But once he became useless to them, I haven't seen any of them run to his aid. Have you?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen anybody run to his aid. No. But. Think about. I mean, just think about this: the money that these Republicans have stolen. What now he'd happen? The truth of the matter is, once they get the stock market swindle, wait till they get their mitts on that. Years from now, until Trump's out of office. But Charles Schwab makes $2.5 billion in one afternoon, and Trump goes out bragging about it. He's popping a couple of buttons. Oh, my buddy made $2.5 billion. Now, what president of the United States would say, "Oh, my buddy made $2.5 billion"? In the meantime, I don't know if you've seen this, but people are taking short-term loans for their groceries.
Yeah,
for their groceries, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse.
I know. I feel you know that story about not the story, but that idea that if you put a frog in boiling water, he'll jump out right away. But if you heat the water up slowly, he'll die. Right. That's how I feel we're doing with our economy, with our market, the way we spend our money, the way we accrue debt. I think that it just became so easy and just like, oh, I'll pay it off, or I'm getting bonus points, I'm getting my benefits from my card, and we sort of have justified the way we manage our money because they've made it so easy. I mean, I got a credit card when I was 22 because they gave me a T-shirt or something. I mean, that's what they were doing in the 90s, right?
Sure. But yeah, exactly. When they started coming out, they had to spread them around, and the kids got them right away. They gave them to the kids right away. Without any
credit history, without, not even a job that could pay these bills off. And so, we started racking it up.
No.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the 2008 debacle with Bush Jr. That was what it was all about. People were taking. I mean, remember the run up in homes? I go to a party. Oh, my home's worth $500,000. Oh, my home's worth $2 million. Whatever. That's all the conversation was. Yep. In the meantime, I thought to myself, I said, are they really worth that kind of money?
They weren't. That was how much. No, that's how much the bank would give you money for it. That's how much they wanted you on the hook for them. Thanks, Jim.
Have a great show.
Have a good night. Thank you so much. Let's take a break here. I want to thank our sponsors, Source Solar. Go to source.solar, make an appointment, maybe get some solar panels on your house or business, and join over 100,000 happy customers. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, sign up for their mailing list, and you'll get columns like mine that I wrote yesterday. Maybe support the work that a lot of the journalists do on his site. And thank you to our friends at Kids Above All. Our show on June 5th has tickets available now. You can go to kidsaboveall.org and come see us on June 5th. More after this on WCPT 820 and 1150 KKNW in Seattle, Washington.
The Rick Smith Show.
These are the people that we've handed the keys to the kingdom. These are the people that we've said, go ahead, run the country. So are we surprised when we said that they're going to run it into the ground? No, you could go, Rick, you've been saying this is all planned, and I think it is. I think the chaos is plotted. I think they know, as long as there's chaos, we can then do the real goal, which is breaking the federal government and stealing from we the taxpayers.
The Rick Smith Show, weeknights at 7 on WCPT 820.
This is Tony Moray. I'm an estate planning lawyer who drafts living trusts and wills. Since the election, I've been hearing from my clients, many of them fellow WCPT listeners, and we all wonder, how did this happen and what can we do? The how is, of course, very complicated. My thoughts as regard to what we can do is simple but important. We need to take extra care of those we love. Having an estate plan using either a living trust or will can provide comfort in uncertain times like these. When the progressive values we hold dear are under attack, I feel we must make sure that our personal lives are secure and then work out from there. I've been drafting estate plans for my clients for over 30 years, and I will use all of that experience to help you. Please call me at 847-996-0496. My website is moreelawoffice.com. That's More spelled M-O-R-E-E. Again, the phone is 847-996-0496. There is no cost or obligation for our initial discussion. I look forward to speaking with you.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. I was listening to someone talk about how they don't appreciate the way Governor Pritzker is talking, that he's, telling people that Republicans should not get a moment's peace, and that he's, conjuring up references to Nazis and Hitler. And it's like, okay, there are other things going on. If you want to get mad at somebody who finally wants to light the fire under folks. I've been talking to people who are involved in campaign choices, right? Whether it's endorsements or people who have the ability to, donate money, donate manpower, have sort of the power of. I don't want to give any groups away is what I'm saying, but I've been talking to folks about different races across the state and across the country. And so there's this thing that happens when we're like, people start trying to like extrapolate. Okay, if Governor Pritzker runs for president, then who's going to become the governor? Then who becomes, and one of the names, who's going to be, whatever that sort of domino effect is, whether it's Senator Durbin's seat and, who's in play for that, as we've seen, Juliana Stratton has become what seems to be the front runner as Governor Pritzker. Organizations like Personal PAC, Tammy Duckworth have all cut ads and given her their endorsements. And I understand that. I also, having been in this process at a much smaller, minor level, running for state rep, what's frustrating is that it doesn't give the people an opportunity who might run for those seats, regardless of, if they're coming out of nowhere, if there's, a business leader, or if there's a state elected, or all the different levels of that, for them to state their case. That's the kind of thing that feels like, not for nothing, but a backroom deal. Like, so, it's that whole idea of whose turn is it? And with all due respect to everybody who's thrown their hat in the ring, I would like to hear people make their case before some of the heavy hitters put their endorsements, put their stamp of approval on it. Again, I learned that when I ran for office, it came down to, honest to God, Paul, who asked somebody first? People would tell me, oh, well, so-and-so asked me, before even knowing who else was going to be in the race. So I just, it's a little bit of a head scratcher when it comes to that. It's the kind of thing that makes you feel like, oh, well, we're not really a part of this process. And I feel like maybe we should be before, again, heavy hitter. So let's say Governor Pritzker decides to run for president. I don't know what that looks like as far as the next gubernatorial race. Does he sit it out because he has his sights set on that? But one of the names that has been mentioned in running for governor, and again, these are people who have these conversations, have these, they mention these things, when you're at a whatever event. And someone told me that, and we've mentioned Rahm Emanuel about, when he came out on Bill Maher's show and he's been giving speeches, was he angling for, people were speculating, is he trying to run for president? And someone said, I think he wants to run for governor. And it's just like, okay, folks, there's just so many dominoes. I need to focus on what's happening fundamentally with the kinds of policies that the federal administration is imposing on us, that is diminishing our programs. Again, I mentioned earlier that I was at a funeral today for a firefighter, and I think people consider first responders sort of as a monolithic group. And I get that we, because it's, their brotherhood, right? Brotherhood and a sisterhood of people who show up in times of crises. And I think there's this idea that they're sort of monolithic in their thinking, whether it's politically or culturally. And there's a firefighter who was doing some training with FEMA. And en route to this national program they had organized, they were going to train people on emergency responses with FEMA. And on their way, the grants for that program were suspended. And so these folks that were traveling, people who were going to be on the front lines, if there's flooding, if there's massive fires, if there's tornadoes and hurricanes, they were told that the convention's not happening, the training's not going to happen. And people online were like, and again, because I know this guy and I know, his circle of friends, whether I know them personally or I get where folks are coming from, we're like, well, I don't see a problem with pausing things because the whole idea, this is when they paused federal programs to make sure that they weren't DEI or they weren't, they didn't have transgender people participating. Like, does it stand the test of the Heritage Foundation, the Federal Society, these folks who are implementing Project 2025? So, those who are all in MAGA are like, there's nothing wrong with pause. Yeah, there is a problem with pausing. There is a problem with funding that was already accounted for, right? That not just these groups, like these first responders who were on their way, already out of pocket, many of them. And if you really support firefighters, they're not all making the kind of money that you think they're making. They're paying for this in order to be better at their jobs. And because they want to make sure there aren't any rainbow pins amongst them, all of a sudden, I think that we are weaker for that. And that's what this administration is doing. And I think the more that we make that clear to people, whether it's in their pocketbooks, in their communities, and how safe they are, their access to health care, their access to their Social Security and the support systems that we have all paid into, I think that we win more people over. These policies are hurting Americans' ability to thrive and threatening our ability to survive. Like, thriving is what we aspire to. I think that surviving shouldn't be begged for. Man, why am I angry all of a sudden? There's so many things happening today. Now, I think you've heard in the last couple of days that Attorney General Pam Bondi has said that she's encouraging essentially law enforcement to not use a warrant. Like, you can't demand a warrant. And I've talked to people who work for different law organizations, let's put law enforcement organizations. And my mom and I went door to door the last time this guy was in office when they were threatening, big ICE raids coming to Chicago. And Mom and I went door to door. My mom speaks Spanish fluently. She's from northern Mexico. I do not speak Spanish fluently, and I'm certainly not going to tell people what their rights are and try to wing it. So, we were telling folks, what to do. Don't open the door. Ask them to slide the warrant under the door. Ask them, for badge numbers and things like that. And now we're seeing videos of, people grabbing folks, whether it's, dropping their kids off at school, or they're at a courthouse, or they're at a work site, they're at a Home Depot without identification, with masks on, and we're all just supposed to stand by and go, oh, I guess that's legit. But I had a friend of mine who worked for the Cook County Sheriff's Department who told me I was making his job harder by telling people their rights. And I said, what do you mean? Are you saying that if they know their rights, why do I need to make? I don't want to put you in danger. You're my friend, but telling me that making sure that someone knows what their rights are makes your job harder. Okay, then you got to spend an extra few minutes, or you don't get that person. You don't have you don't have another number in your journal for how many people without the right documentation that you were able to round up. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Let's go ahead and make your job harder. I'm okay with that. I want to make sure you're safe, but I also want to make sure that people are protected and have their rights respected. Let's take a break here. When we come back, speaking of rights speaking of rights and protections, we're going to talk to an attorney who is going to be working with federal Judge Hannah Dugan. We're going to talk to Stephen Kravit in just a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal 1150 KKNW in Seattle, Washington.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. We'll see partly cloudy skies tonight with temperatures falling back into the mid-40s and northeast winds at 5 to 10. Cloudy skies on Wednesday with a chance of showers, mainly in the afternoon, with high temperatures in the upper 50s. Thursday, we'll see a chance of thunderstorms with high temperatures in the upper 60s. Friday, cloudy, chance of afternoon showers. High temperatures in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 66.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Dive deeper into the heart of the news and stories at WCPT 820 and across the Midwest by checking out our website, heartlandsignal.com.
It's the coverage I can count on every time.
For the latest news updates, in-depth analysis, compelling stories, comprehensive election coverage, live streams, and thought-provoking opinions, head to heartlandsignal.com.
When I need to know, they're there.
They keep me informed and updated wherever I am.
Stay informed with WCPT 820, your go-to source for where facts matter.
Feeling overwhelmed, kind of like, hey, I can't remember how to relax. Well, you're not alone. Illness, accidents, sheer stress can cause everything from headaches to feeling constantly on edge. If this is you, give Michelle Beaubier at Resource Wellness in Wilmette a call. Michelle is a biodynamic craniosacral therapist. She also teaches Qigong, a form of moving meditation. She helps people with post-surgical problems, concussions, migraines, insomnia, the effects of trauma, and more. Michelle helps her clients balance their nervous systems and achieve deep rest that can lead to profound change. As a PTSD survivor herself, she gets it, and she loves helping people back into balance. As one client said, Michelle has been my reset button. So if you need a reset, call Michelle at 773-991-4357 or check her website, resourcewellnessllc.com. 773-991-4357, resourcewellnessllc.com.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Union Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversity Beer, Wine, and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine, and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. Last week, when news broke that federal judge Hannah Dugan had been arrested and handcuffed under the, I believe, let me ask the one of the attorneys working on this case. Steve Kravit joins us on the line. How are you doing today, Steve?
Great, Patty. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. Do you prefer
good.
Steve?
That's good.
Do you prefer Steve or Steven? I want to be respectful.
I'm Steve. That's fine.
Appreciate it. When I was younger, I wanted to become a lawyer, and sometimes I regret not going to law school. But I will tell you, days like this, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm better off not knowing all the ins and outs of how crazy this is, because we are living in the upside down times, Stephen, aren't we?
We certainly are. This is let me correct you on one thing. Hannah Dugan is a circuit court judge in Milwaukee, not a federal judge. Because the federal judges would never allow these ICE agents to be in their hallway, in their courtrooms to arrest people.
Okay.
That would never happen, and they would never do it. So what this was a crazy show arrest. And the facts are impossible to reconcile with proving any kind of crime beyond a reasonable doubt by the judge. So the way it happened was this: there were 6 agents involved. 2 were ICE or Homeland or something. 2 were DEA agents, and 2 were FBI agents. Now, you in Chicago have probably a large covey of federal agents that do everything. In Wisconsin, I think there are maybe 10 total DEA agents. Why are 2 of them at a courthouse to apprehend an immigrant who is being charged with a misdemeanor for a battery, okay, and not doing any kind of drug investigation at all? There were no drug issues. So 20% of all the drug agents in Wisconsin were in the Milwaukee County Courthouse to arrest an immigrant, okay? And they came in there with six gendarmes and went up to the misdemeanor courtroom. Now, our misdemeanor courtroom is like any misdemeanor courtroom. There's always like 20, 30, 40 cases a day. It's kind of a mill. Judge Dugan is assigned to misdemeanor court in this rotation, and she had 9 or 10 or 11 matters scheduled that morning, and when the ICE agents arrived, she was on the bench doing her job. So they asked for a courtroom deputy. A courtroom deputy came out. They said, we have an arrest warrant for one of the people who's appearing. The deputy goes back to the judge, tells her that. She asks what kind of agents they are. They say they're ICE agents. She is irritated at the disruption, why they're trying to make an arrest in the hallway of the courthouse. So she comes out to talk to them, and she says, do you have some kind of warrant? And they said, yes, we do. They do not show it to her. She said, what kind of warrant is it? They said, it's an administrative warrant. Well, now, all of us in the biz know what that is. It's not a warrant issued by a judge. It's not issued on probable cause. It's by a guy in the ICE office who has the ability to, in effect, write a subpoena that allows them to take someone into custody for investigation. And that's what kind of warrant it was. And she said, go talk to the chief judge. We don't have a policy about this yet. It's in the making, and we're uncomfortable with arrest in the courthouse. So what they do, the 2 that identified themselves as agents, they go to the chief judge's office. What she didn't know is that there were 2 undercover agents out there as well. Remember, there are 6 total agents in this craziness. And she goes back to her bench and does her job. When it's time for this, now understand that the Ruiz, who is the immigrant or the alleged illegal, comes into the Milwaukee County Courthouse. They go through airport security, so they know he's not armed. In fact, they say, this is why we like to arrest in the courthouse. We know nobody there is armed. And so they see him go in. They could have arrested him then. They didn't. He goes in with his lawyer into the courtroom. And meantime, remember, these 2 ICE agents go to the chief judge, who says, look, don't arrest anybody anywhere in a courtroom if the public area is public area, whatever. While she's in the courtroom, she talks to the lawyer and his client and changes around the order of things. Remember, there's 10 or so matters. And she opens a side door, and this young man and his lawyer leave. The side door is to the jury exit. One thing that is never said is that there is no private way out of the Milwaukee County Courthouse. Not for cops, not for lawyers, not for anybody. So when you go into a private area, when you come out of the private area, you are in the public hallway. And indeed, that's what happened. So the guy and his lawyer come out of the jury entrance into the public hallway. The DEA undercover agent observes this, walks along with them, okay, could have arrested him then, to elevators on the south end. Well, in the complaint, it says, well, it's suspicious to go not to the nearest elevator. No, it's not, because the south end elevators go to the ground floor. The north end elevators don't. Okay, this is the kind of idiocy that we are dealing with here, okay? And So they follow him to the elevator. They get in the elevator with him. They know he's not armed. They could have arrested him right there. Instead, he goes down to the ground floor or first floor, goes outside, and only then with 5 other agents do they identify themselves, and the man starts to run, and they have a nice show arrest outside on the plaza. So that's the incident we're talking about.
Right.
Okay? Here's what the judge did. She opened his side door and said, you can go out this way. That's all she did. All she did. And knowing that they were going to the public area. 3 days later, now understand this lady is 65 years old. She has no record. She's a shining star had been a legal aid lawyer and elected to this judgeship. And they, instead of issuing a summons, if they really wanted to talk to her, giving her a subpoena, they show up for a show arrest at 8 in the morning at her courthouse, put her in handcuffs, post a photo of the judge in handcuffs. Gee, do you wonder why? So that they can show it off, and they take her downtown. In my 5 decades of both being a federal prosecutor there and a federal criminal defense lawyer and also a trial lawyer, I have never seen a person without a record, 65 years old, charged with a crime that she's never going to flee from, to get anything but a summons. But no, this time they decided to cuff him. This is sort of a shoot first, ask questions later kind of crowd now. And she goes to, gets booked and immediately released. And then what we see within 90 minutes is the FBI director, the national FBI director, issuing a statement. And then within 2 hours, the United States Attorney General issuing a statement about this. And I can tell you this, again, 5 decades here, we've never had a case here where the Attorney General of the United States had made a statement about it, or the FBI director made a statement about it. Never. We have no federal presence in Wisconsin. Nothing goes on here. It's a sleepy federal court, and this has never happened. The whole point was a show trial. And what outrages me is that, listen, I'm in the justice business, right? If people commit crimes, they do something wrong, they should be prosecuted. But these 2 crimes she is charged with, both felonies, require that she have corrupt intent in trying to avoid the subpoena for this alien. Corrupt intent, she got nothing out of it. She didn't get any money. There's no payoff. There's no scheme. There's no conspiracy. The other charge is harboring a fugitive. Did she harbor that guy? Did she harbor a fugitive? Is this of someone escaping from a bank robbery that you put in your house and avoid the police? No. She didn't do either of those things. And they are both felonies, and they both require specific intent. And it's like, why? Now, the other thing I should tell your listeners is that in white-collar investigations and defense, it's not the conviction that really hurts someone who's never been charged with a crime. It's the charge.
Right.
It's the publicity. They can never shake that. It doesn't matter what happens now. The government could dismiss. She's getting the hate mail. She's getting all the wacko stuff going on here. It's completely unfair. They've uprooted and ruined her life, and for what? They got their immigrant. Okay? They got their immigrant. They just have this picture of a judge in handcuffs, and it's intimidation. The whole idea is to, I think, corrupt and pervert the administration of justice, or making your courthouse a safe place. Courthouses aren't safe in the sense that, a lot of bad people go in and out, but they are a safe space for having your grievance heard, for having your case heard, for being under the protection of judges and police and the people who are there for the time you are there. And these 6 agents deliberately corrupted that.
For context for folks, the attorney we're talking to, Stephen E. Kravit, Steve, is an attorney out of Milwaukee and former federal prosecutor. So when you say we've never had anything happen like this in your entire career, and you say for what, right? Is it possible, in the light of the fact that the press secretary has said that no judge is safe, is it possible because it's Wisconsin? There's this, sort of this feeling of we got screwed by the Wisconsin voting for a Supreme Court justice that didn't align with our agenda. It seems as though Judge Hannah Dugan has worked with legal aid, so maybe she presents as somebody who might be a good example of these, judges, these activist judges, these left-leaning judges. It seems as though it's intended to intimidate. And they're saying it blatantly, aren't they, Steve? That no judge should feel safe. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, Judge Dugan teaches at Marquette Law School. She gives seminars on the Constitution. She's kind of a legal nerd in the sense that she believes in the justice system. She believes in the Constitution and things like that. The people who are persecuting her now, they don't. They believe in the raw assertion of power and intimidation, and it's working. I'm sorry to say, it's working. The one good thing that Judge Dugan has going for her is that there's been a rallying cry of really good legal talent to help get through this. Let me put it a different way. If I had been in the U.S. Attorney's Office, and I was for a long time, we did more justice in a week than a judge does in months. Why? By the way we did or did not charge cases. And when an agent comes in and brings you a bogus, crappy case for whatever reason, you go, no, go back and do this some other way, right? Here, you had two supervisors in this office. I don't happen to particularly care for the one I know, but that's not the point. They looked at these facts and charged it. They looked at these facts and charged them. And why did they do that? Well, one of them, I think, wants to be the U.S. attorney. So again, it's all this favor trading crap. And you know what? She'll probably get it. Why wouldn't she? She, did a solid for whatever it is they want to do. So let me just give a quick progress report.
Sure.
So
please.
She gets charged by a complaint, which is a rare thing in Wisconsin, and there's a lot of good reasons why we never charge by complaint, unless the person is going to be leaving the state or is, it's there temporarily, because you can do that faster than an indictment. And the reason is you have to put your whole case into a complaint, and now you have to go to an actual judge, in this case a magistrate, and he issues an arrest warrant, okay? You have to show probable cause. Well, the government hates to do that because there's your case. Well, they made a case before they had a case. So everything they say people said is out there. It's and all the people who they say they said these things can now dispute it or whatnot. There's no lockdown testimony and whatnot. The government had to come forward with whatever they think their case is, and it's terrible, but there it is, right? And they still have to go to a grand jury to actually institute these charges. They have to go to a federal grand jury and convince 12 or 13 citizens who sit for a year that this is the kind of case that ought to be charged. Now, I don't have a lot of faith in the grand jury. They charge almost everything the prosecutor does because there is no defense in a grand jury. It's just prosecutors and agents. But they are ordinary citizens. They do read the papers. They are not required to limit what they know to only what's presented to them like a normal jury is. And it does occasionally happen that the people rise up and say no. And that's called a no bill, and maybe that could happen here. I mean, it's doubtful, but that's another step. And if they don't charge, then it's all over. And when I was a prosecutor way back in the day, like the government wanted to prosecute magazines for pornography or things like that, stupid things, right? Mm-hmm. And so when the agents brought that stuff up, we couldn't say no to at least going to the grand jury, we'd say, okay, we'll take it to the grand jury. And we'd hint to the grand jury, do you really want to charge this? And they go, no. And they give you a no bill. And then you go back to your agent and you say, hey, listen, I tried. There's a no bill. Maybe that could happen here. I'm hoping it'll happen here. But in the event it doesn't, Paul Clement, who is one of the premier Supreme Court litigators in the United States, who used to be with Jenner & Block, and he takes on conservative causes for the most part.
Yeah.
And Steve Biskupic, who's a friend of mine, but was the Republican U.S. attorney for a while under Bush. He is the defense lawyer, a guy who I have a lot of respect for. I think I once beat him in a trial, and he said I was the only trial he ever lost. But that's neither here nor there. So
nice.
He's on it, and literally now the government is saying, well, maybe we ought to have some witnesses. So they're starting to recontact people. They're all getting lawyers, and there's no trust, so they will get no voluntary statements from anybody. And it'll be a slog the rest of the way. But that doesn't help Judge Dugan. Her life has been disrupted. And then you have to think, too, what about her court? I mean, she's being paid as a judge, but she can't go back and sit on the court with this hanging over her, right? So now the state has to provide another judge, has to redo all her cases. Mm-hmm. Anything she's got in the pipeline, somebody has to redo. And this could go on for a couple of years.
Wow.
So do you think anybody at the Justice Department thought about that or cared about that? I doubt it.
Oh, they're trying to save all kinds of money, Steve. They're cutting fraud and waste all over the place.
Sure they are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're talking to Steve Kravit. Can you hang on the line with us? Because I know a couple people have questions, and I'd love to wrap up with you.
Sure.
We're talking to Steve Kravit. He's an attorney out of Milwaukee and former federal prosecutor. We are talking about the recent arrest of Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan. More in a moment on WCPT 820 and 1150 KKNW in Seattle, Washington.
A better life. Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Some people are natural-born perfectionists. On one hand, that can help drive them toward great things. On the other, it could be detrimental to their mental health. I recently talked about this on my podcast, Chasing Life, with Dr. Ellen Hendrickson, a clinical psychologist at Boston University. Nobody ever says, I'm a perfectionist, she told me. Instead, what they say is, I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm falling behind. Try to remember this. We are not our achievements. We are our relationships, our interests, our values, our enjoyment of life. You should also try to talk to yourself like you would a good friend, a bit more gently, and dare to be unproductive. Self-improvement feels good, Ellen said, but you don't have to build a skill, learn something new, or do something that's necessarily good for you all the time. Have some fun. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
At Straight Talk, we are all about no-brainers. Calling Grandma for her recipe, no-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m., big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas, the ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 5/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store single line activation on qualifying plan. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com/terms. Copyright 2025 Verizon.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez. We want to say hello to our friends listening in the evenings on KKNW 1150 in Seattle, Washington. We are on the phone here out of Chicago on WCPT 820 with our friend Steve Kravit out of Wisconsin, out of Milwaukee. Steve, I don't know if you know that I am a fib for Wisconsin. Did you grow up in Wisconsin, my friend?
I did. I went to UW and then off to Harvard Law School and came back.
Well, I honestly, I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'll retire there, but I'm a dork for Wisconsin. I love Chicago, but I've spent almost every summer, and I door knocked a lot for a lot of different candidates, including some of the candidates for judges across the state, especially in the southern part of Wisconsin. We were talking about the arrest of Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan with Steve, who's a former federal prosecutor. There's a couple questions that folks have. So here's one from our friend of the show, Gunny, who's been listening for years. was there a conviction or was it? I'm sorry. This is Gunny. Can you ask the judge? Well, Steve's an attorney. Was the person who's being pursued by, as you mentioned, was it 6 agents, including DEA, ICE, like different agencies for like various reasons? Was the person they were pursuing convicted before going out? Like,
No. So
yeah,
this Mr. Ruiz, who apparently is in the country illegally, was in a fight with his roommates. So it was an assault question in a misdemeanor court, and that's what he was appearing for. Not convicted of anything. He was in a misdemeanor assault show-up appearance.
Well, and let me ask you this. Even if he'd been convicted of something, it's still her courtroom to, even if he was convicted of one thing, doesn't mean that she's going to turn him over to people who don't have a warrant, specifically for what they're looking for, right?
Well, right. But you think about this whole interaction, and they knew this guy was scheduled for a court appearance. They were there when he went through security. And once they learned he wasn't armed, which I think is a proper law enforcement question,
sure.
You don't want to arrest somebody if they're armed. They could have arrested him right there. Why did they wait?
Yeah.
Why did they follow him around the building, go up to the court, do all this whole show about I have a warrant, have to get the judge out of the courtroom, disrupt her routine, all that? Why did they do that? And then once he was exiting through the side door and then out into the public area, why didn't they just arrest him?
Yeah.
What was the problem? Mm-hmm. And the answer is it wasn't set up. I mean, I'm speculating that the answer is it wasn't set up well enough to have a good show. And it became a good show when they let the guy out on the street, and then they confronted him, and then he started to run, and then they tackled him. And then later, that made it a big deal, and then later they come in with this show of force in the courtroom, all set up to give national statements and show a picture of her in handcuffs and all that.
Yep, that seemed like it was the point. Another listener asks, can Judge Dugan sue for false arrest? I mean, is that...
Great question. The federal government has a program that if you are charged wrongly and not convicted, that you can seek compensation for vexatious litigation. It is rare because, first of all, most people who are charged get convicted, but it is rare, and the amount that they pay is basically the same thing they pay to appointed lawyers. So, whatever your rate of your lawyer doesn't matter. They'll pay what they pay appointed lawyers if they do anything. But there is a remedy, in theory, in the statutes.
All right, we have another listener. Vic is calling from Salem. Hey, Vic, what's on your mind? We're on with Steve Kravit.
Well, hey, Patty and Steve. Mr. Kravit, it seems to me that they had prior knowledge that this person was going to be there. And it seems almost too much like a setup or a frame-up. The way it worked out, like you said, they could have arrested him before or after, but they chose to make a big scene at the courthouse.
Yep.
This is the second district judge that has been arrested for practically the same immigration.
I can't. I absolutely agree with you. It was set up in order to create a confrontation that could be useful in deterring judges from and actually immigrants from using the courthouse. That's really the only thing that's going on here is a national program to, I think, scare the heck out of anybody who is not a citizen of the United States.
Yep. Absolutely. We have another. Thank you so much for calling, Vic. I want to make sure we get all of our callers in because we have a minute left here. David's calling from Geneva, and you had something on your mind in regards to this story. David, what's on your mind?
Well, to me it sounds like the Gestapo or the SS, with the techniques that they're using. I mean, I know that that's kind of a harsh comparison, but I think it's pretty accurate with the way that the Attorney General, FBI, are acting, and particularly the...
Oh, boy. We're having trouble here. I'm so sorry. I don't know what David was going to say. Did you get any? Yeah,
he's right about the escalated tactics,
yes,
which maybe in some connections are useful, like if you're chasing a murderer or somebody who's dangerous. But here it was done to make a point, and they made their point. They've got everybody scared to heck.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it seems to be the point, considering that I don't know her name, Kristen, the press secretary, BS Barbie, basically said that she said that no judge is safe, and she's using words like judge activists, and saying even Supreme Court justices are, open to being arrested. Like, she literally said this to a question from Peter Doocy, and when Doocy's asking the question, like, where are we?
Right. He's got her script in hand.
Oh my God, this is nuts.
Yes,
Steve, I've run out of time, but I would love to have you back when you're available. Thank you so much for your time, and
I'm around.
Wonderful perspective and information. We're all grateful for it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Patty.
We'll talk to you again soon. You too. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we're going to check in with another Wisconsin. It's all Wisconsin right now. We're going to talk to our good friend Ben Cominos in just a moment from Outside the Box on WHBY. But we're on KKNW and WCPT.
Is your upper floor too hot in the summer? Are energy bills climbing with every degree? Green Attic can help. With over 15 years of experience and more than 1,000 five-star reviews, Green Attic is a trusted Chicagoland name for insulation, ventilation, and roofing solutions that improve comfort, energy efficiency, and indoor air quality. They specialize in attic insulation, spray foam, crawl space encapsulation, mold remediation, and solar attic fan installation, all designed to keep your home cooler in the warmer months. Green Attic also offers full-service roofing through Green Attic Roofing, including traditional and solar roofing systems with instant online quotes and long-lasting, eco-friendly materials. Green Attic backs its work with the industry's only 10-year labor warranty, plus lifetime warranties on selected materials. Schedule a free insulation consultation at greenattic.com or get an instant roofing quote at greenatticroofing.com. That's greenattic.com and greenatticroofing.com.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. President Trump celebrating the first 100 days of his current term.
We just had the biggest victory in Michigan. They said, sir, it's going to be hard. Well, we won it twice.
Telling a rally in Michigan he's had the best start of any president in history.
We've just gotten started. You haven't even seen anything yet. It's all just kicking in. And week by week, we're ending illegal immigration. We're taking back our jobs and protecting our great American.
Can I just let me do something real quick here? Can I just let's see if this goes away in a second. Are we doing a rally? Is that news? I don't know.
To relax some of his 25% tariffs on autos and auto parts, a significant reversal as the import taxes threaten to hurt domestic manufacturers. Meantime, Democrats say it's been a chaotic 100 days. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Republican business owners on Long Island tell me they're losing sleep over Donald Trump's tariffs. It's because their businesses may go under. This is not just a political game. People are really worried in ways that I haven't seen in a long time.
Sagar Magani reports consumer confidence has plunged to its lowest level in 5 years.
It hasn't been this low since May 2020, the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index fell for a fifth straight month amid anxiety over President Trump's tariffs and expectations prices will rise while economic growth and hiring will slow. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Job openings fell in March, but stocks saw gains today on better-than-expected corporate earnings. The Nasdaq up 0.5%, the S&P 0.6%, and the Dow 300 points or 0.7%. And in Canada, Prime Minister Mark Carney's Liberal Party won parliamentary elections but fell short of an outright majority, meaning they'll need another smaller party to help put together a government. This is AP News. Formula One's boss hints he may ease up on drivers' language.
Mohammed Ben Sulayem says there may be some changes to the punishments for a range of offenses, including cursing. Max Verstappen is one of the drivers who has been fined for swearing.
I prefer not to speak about that. It might get me in trouble.
The base fine for an F1 driver is $45,000. There could be suspensions. It's not clear if cursing is more common in F1 than other sports. With radio broadcasts from the cars and camera crews throughout the paddock, drivers are under more surveillance than almost any other athletes. Oscar Piastri says it can be stressful, but
we should be setting an example Whether that requires a big monetary fine to remind us of that, I think talking to maybe is going to be enough.
Ben Sulliam says humans make the rules and humans can improve the rules. I'm Ed Donahue.
And I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. We'll see partly cloudy skies tonight, with temperatures falling back into the mid-40s and northeast winds at 5 to 10. Cloudy skies on Wednesday with a chance of showers, mainly in the afternoon, with high temperatures in the upper 50s. Thursday, we'll see a chance of thunderstorms, with high temperatures in the upper 60s. Friday, cloudy, chance of afternoon showers. High temperatures in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 66.
Hi. I don't even know why I'm calling right now. I'm sorry. My thoughts are going a mile a minute.
No matter how you served.
I left the service last year. My mom just passed away a few months ago. I missed so much time with her.
No matter what you're going through.
Before, I knew what to expect every day. And now I have so many decisions to make. I keep getting calls about the bills, and I'm trying to get a job, but I feel so stuck.
We are here for you.
Okay, ma'am. I'm glad you called. Let's stay on the line and walk through some things.
If you or a veteran in your life is experiencing thoughts of suicide, dial 988. Then press 1 to reach the Veterans Crisis Line.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. Hope that you're happy, healthy, and safe wherever you're tuning in, whether it's live right now on WCPT 820 here in Chicago, or maybe later in the evenings on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and our friends listening on KKNW 1150 in Seattle, Washington, the alternative talk of Seattle. We are broadcasting, of course, I said out of Chicago. We want to thank our sponsors, Source Solar. Go to source.solar, maybe make an appointment. See if it's time to put solar panels on your house or your business and join over 100,000 happy customers in the Chicagoland area. You can also visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and maybe sign up for their mailing list and check out the column that I write every week. We'll be broadcasting live from the Minocqua Brewing Company tap room in Madison, Wisconsin on May 13th. We would love to see you there. Regular broadcast showtime from 5 to 7. So maybe just a little road trip. It'll be pretty in May, I promise. And we also want to thank our friends at Kids Above All. Go to kidsaboveall.org. We have a comedy show coming up, Stand Up for Kids, on June 5th. Go to kidsaboveall.org and pick up your tickets for that show at the Greenhouse Theater. Now, our guest coming on right now draws a lot of emotions from our listeners, which I think is a good thing. Ben Cominos joins us, the host of Outside the Box. I don't know what it is. People think that you're really smart, but you tick them off. Is that like I don't know. I want to put that on a shirt. Super smart. I make people angry. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if that's a positive or a negative, but I'll take it as a positive right now.
Well, I know I annoy people, so I guess it's kind of our stock and trade. But here's the thing. It's only the people that get annoyed that message, right? People who are enjoying themselves are too busy being happy, enjoy listening to us, to write stuff. So that's how I would take it.
Yeah, that's how I typically look at it as well. If you're willing to put an opinion out there, there's going to be people that have the opposite one.
Yes.
That's the name of the game. I don't take it personally.
No. We have a weird connection. I feel like you're going in and out. Do you have a bad cell in your house, in your apartment? What's going on there, Ben?
No, here, I'll pick a different spot here. You sounded fine until a second ago. How's that work for you?
No, I'm good. What is it is it your apartment? Does it sound like that?
You know, I've called you from my apartment every time, but I don't know what was happening there. That's the first time I lost signal. I think we're good. I need to get the heck out of this place.
It's the government. I think that they know that we talk about things that are critical of perhaps as administration. I mean, if they're arresting
You'd be
judges,
surprised how many of my listeners think that happens to me. That's hilarious.
Well, but if they're arresting judges, I mean, like, not that. The level at which you and I play is, compared to like people on MSNBC or whatever. I mean,
oh sure,
right? I mean, I don't even know who the big lefty targets would be at this point, except for like Colbert and Kimmel, and they just are critics. We're just on the radio. But do you ever have those moments of like, am I going to get in some sort of hot water, and do I care?
Absolutely, I don't care. Yeah. I'm willing to roll the dice, but I mean, being in Wisconsin, where clearly the focal point is just going to remain for the foreseeable future, it definitely crosses my mind. Because, in talk radio, we absolutely are not the big fish, you're right, Patty, but at the same time, we're two of, like, 7 progressives in all of talk radio. You know what I mean? Like, it is very much co-opted by one particular side.
Paul, can you do those numbers? Am I 2 of 7 to progressive talk show hosts? Yeah, he says yes aggressively. He says yes. Wow, that's okay then. Fine. That's
what I'm saying. So we stick out.
Yeah, I know. It's not that I don't care. It's that like this compared to what other people go through and the sacrifices they make and the kind of energy they put into whether it's organizing or running for office and like on ideals that there's a listener. Let me find the text that came up about you just a little bit ago. Something about Bernie. He has the most anger and appreciation for you.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. So, and I think it has to do with Bernie. Now, I don't get mad about Bernie, and like, do you consider yourself to be a Bernie bro?
In 2016, maybe. In 2025, I'm evolved from that.
Okay. But I mean, like, bro, but like to me, like someone who's like, a Joe Rogan bro, like, I don't know, was it a different type of broness to a Bernie bro? Because I don't know.
See, I guess I'm oblivious. You need to understand that I refrained from social media for a lot of the early teens. Like, I hopped on in 2018. From my perspective, the whole Bernie movement was always about class consciousness, cracking down on monopolies, and redistributing wealth in an excess of wealth inequality, which I would argue have become major tentpole talking points of the Democratic mainstream at this point. That's what I always thought it was about in 2016. There's claims about like race stuff and other things going on there. I am oblivious to that world of the conversation, but I always just thought it was about coming together surrounding, working class politics. That's what I base my entire show on.
But who is carrying that mantle now when it comes to all the things that you mentioned?
I don't think that's the problem. That's why David Hogg is getting yelled at right now. Your governor, came out pretty strong on Sunday. Sounded like he binged like 10 episodes outside the box. I love that speech he did in New Hampshire.
Okay.
Like that was. I don't know if he's the guy to deliver the message as a billionaire, but I definitely did like what he was saying. I think it gelled well. But as far as someone in the party, I have been saying since November, whoever the leader of the party is, I don't think they're in the Democratic Party right now. I don't even know that I have a suggestion. There's some people doing some good things, but to lead a movement, to inspire in a way that I think is necessary right now, I could tell you pros and cons for just about anybody.
Now, when you say that Pritzker might not be the right guy to deliver the message because he's wealthy, right? So I guess if I was to draw an analogy, it would be Roosevelt when he said that his rich friends were reaching out to him and they weren't happy with his policies, and basically he said that he was willing to lose their friendship if it meant helping people. And I wonder if there's a path forward for Pritzker in that vein of a message.
So when the MAGAs tell you that Elon Musk doesn't care about making money, he's doing it to improve the country and save the government money, do you believe him?
But they do. But the thing is, they do, right?
Oh, absolutely. And there will be liberals that would believe Governor Pritzker, but I think it would be hard for me as someone that tries to remain a straight shooter to turn my mic on after crapping on Elon Musk for years to be like, actually, I think this guy, like, it would just be a very hard pivot given the way the messaging is happening right now.
Yeah, but I feel like you pick up on the nuances of what the argument is from who it's coming from. You know what I'm saying? I don't,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that there are people in MAGA, and by the way, I've changed my pronunciation from MAGA to MAGA.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know how you someone made fun of me.
I hit it with a MAGA. I'm trying to MAGA, guys. Yeah, I'm trying to MAGA.
But I mean, there are people who truly believe that a guy who has, failed business after failed business. I mean, like, when you go to a casino, you know that the house wins unless it's run by Trump, right? So it's they believe that he has working class values, or at least their interests at heart when he does what he does. But really, they mean as long as it hurts somebody. Where you and I come from is that we want to help people. We want to protect people. And that's not as strong of a message as we're going to hurt others. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I have noticed it. I mean, we just had the draft up here last week, and nothing personal to the Chicago listeners, but the boos from the Green Bay fans for Chicago were much louder than the cheers for Green Bay. And I even made that reference then, is that the divisiveness definitely brings it out of us more than the idea of coming together. But I firmly believe, I'm telling you, I think I've stated this on your show before. I think we've had a couple of duds. I think Joe Biden wouldn't have even come away with the victory if we weren't mired in a pandemic. I think a lot of us, present company included, were terrified of how Trump handled that, and I think that scared a lot of people. One person who comes through and talks like Governor Pritzker was and means it, puts the programs together. It's like I always say, if Harris were president right now, there would be no tariffs. There would be no deportations, at least of Hispanics. I don't know where we would be headed with the Gaza stuff right now. But the cost of everything would still be relatively high. The one thing I never want lost is Democrats are leaning into, man, Trump's messing up bad. I watched a woman, like a man on the street kind of interview with a woman who was a Trump voter who said, I've been paying higher prices during all of Biden. I'm okay paying higher prices right now under the idea that it is going to fix things. Because she doesn't know what you know what I mean? It's probably not going to. But people were so frustrated that they're willing to roll the dice. If they're willing to roll the dice like this, that means we need somebody willing to take chances, because we are in a chance-taking environment right now. And we wasted it this time, but we can get it next time.
Well, if there is a next time, I mean, dude, when we're arresting circuit court judges and a press secretary saying no judge is safe, then I don't even know where to begin on this. And the intent was clearly to terrify other judges, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, based on the details of the story, it seems like it's a lot of theater. I honestly believe she's going to end up walking from this, and it's going to be very comparable. You'll see a bunch of conservatives screaming that it's going to be the Trump trials in reverse, and everybody can have their opinions about it that way. What I cling to is something like, I don't remember if it was 78 or 88% of Americans, like that includes Republicans, say, when a Supreme Court judge or ruling says something, you do the thing. When these kind of rules come down, you don't break the rules. I'm not saying he won't break them from time to time, but I'm saying with the whole him running in 2028 stuff, I think by and large enough people are, grounded enough, especially if they're picked. They're going to be grounded enough to hold people to account here. I'm not panicked in that way. I think this is, right now at least, a lot of bluster. I hope I'm not downplaying it, but we'll see what happens.
We are talking to Ben Cominos, the host of Outside the Box on WHBY out of Appleton, Wisconsin. You can go to WHBY.com or download the app. They have an app. Okay, we need an app is all I'm saying. WHBY.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
No big deal.
Can you hang out for another segment, my friend?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. We'll take our. Well, if anyone has any calls, we do actually have. You know what? I might not take that call on the air, but let me take a break and we'll catch up some more with Ben Cominos.
I kind of want to take that call in the air.
77. No, it's not for you. It's for me. 77. No, seriously, something I do. 773. Let's not call too much attention to what I do during news breaks. We don't have to do that. We don't have to. It was a rally. That was not news. What is the AP doing?
I heard that. I heard that.
Just saying. Okay. Let's not call too much attention to things that I do on the air because it sometimes ends badly for me. More in a moment with our friend Ben Cominos from WHBY in Appleton, Wisconsin. We'll be right back after this.
If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Corey called to consolidate his debt and was so happy with my advice, he left me this 5-star Google review. Quote, I was looking to pay off debt, so I reached out to David after listening to his radio show. David called me personally and walked me through my options. He shot it straight. There was no beating around the bush or pushing me to sign anything. If any of my family or friends need anything related to a mortgage, I'll give them David's number because you can't get better or more honest service. Thanks, Corey. I strongly encourage everyone to check out our close to 600 5-star Google reviews from listeners like Corey. Team Hochberg helped Corey and thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, MLS 112-4061.
Being blind doesn't always look how others may think.
Retinitis pigmentosa aimed to overwhelm my family.
It tried to cut me down. I know where to find support and where I can be seen.
Innovative research, educational resources, supportive community. The Foundation Fighting Blindness is leading the charge in finding treatments and cures for blinding diseases. Learn more at fightingblindness.org. A public service message from the Foundation Fighting Blindness.
There are 1,000 ways to say it.
Nope. Knock it off. Shut it down. Dream on. No dice. Give it a rest. Not a chance.
Or just.
All text. You focus on the road.
As a passenger, you have the power to prevent an accident. There are 1,000 ways to stop a distracted driver. Choose one.
A message from CTIA.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
From city streets to political beats, you're driving it home with Patti Vasquez. Your progressive talk fuels the ride.
All right, so we've been having a little bit of an off-the-air conversation. Paul Shivari, my producer, came in because one of our callers wanted to join the conversation. Ben Cominos, the host of Outside the Box on WHBY in Appleton, Wisconsin. Before we bring on our caller, do you have news breaks top and bottom of the hour, Ben?
Yeah, we have a national one through CBS, and then we actually have a newsroom that also does one shortly after that.
So when I was at a different station, let's call it WGN, I treated the news as completely separate from my show because I'm commentary, right? So I'm a critic of what's going on, whether it's policy. And the show was various, we did music, we did comedy, we did food. But I mean, I think people had a very good idea of where I was coming from politically. So I never chimed in during the news. And while I was there, I would hear other hosts interrupt the news, and I was like, and we always had the ability. They would pop in and like ask a question. But it bothered me because my thing was I knew that my newscaster, let's call him Rob, he would jump into my show with commentary about politics, which was problematic to me because I thought that the news anchor should not share their opinion where they're coming from because he was very far right. Right.
Sure.
So that was problematic.
Yeah.
So I don't interrupt the news. and you don't interrupt me. And I actually created it for the folks who want to know. So I created a whole show called Whiskey and a Cookie because of my newscaster, because I thought if you're going to talk about the politics of this, your opinions in this, let's do it after you're done doing the news. Right? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So at any rate, so let me bring on Steve. So because I have been asked to, I don't know if it still applies that we must broadcast news during a talk show. It used to be a legal thing where, like, in order to be on the air, Hart, H-A-R-T. Oh, yeah, no, different one. Oh, that's bad that I used the name Rob. It's just neither here nor there. But also, you hear him on the weekends here. At any rate, but I think it used to be a part of the FCC that in order to have the airwaves, we had to air the news. So let me just get to Steve and why.
See, that's news to me. I had never heard that. I will say my transition from Pittsburgh to here, the news anchors and news reporters, I have my super local first half hour. I'll have reporters come on and not hold back. And it at first was jarring to me because I'm looking out for their career. But at the same time, I was like, well, if you want to do this, definitely makes my show better. So whatever.
Right. I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, here, so I did this a little bit after Trump won, but Steve in Chicago wanted to join us. Hey, Steve, what's on your mind, my friend?
Well, again, and I'm not blaming you. I know you're caught up in a whole employment situation, but I've been pointing this out since 2016, that anybody who calls themselves a journalist and runs 1, 2, 3 minutes of Trump lying and doesn't immediately follow it up with, well, that was a lie, here's the facts, they're not journalists. What I really wish they would do is, instead of saying that, and I know it's clickbait, it gets ears, etc., is report. The President of the United States talked about this today. This is what he said. This is the truth. This is what he said. This is the truth.
Right.
If you want to run an entertainment program like Fox News is, great, go there. But do not call yourself journalism. Do not call yourself news.
Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there, Steve. I even I do the opposite of what you're saying. I actually hide behind the fact that I am not a journalist, and I still maintain, especially with a lot of those Newsmax types, I hold myself to a higher account than what they're doing over there. I couldn't agree with you more. What we call news or journalism is much more infotainment at best, and I'm not looking down my nose on that. That is what I do. But I also wear it on my sleeve, which I think a lot of people in the mainstream tend to try and dance around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I just felt that during that broadcast there was something that didn't feel like it, and they did it a lot last year, and it would be a lot. It was almost all Trump, like, saying something, Ben, and then like not. Everything feels out of context, and it's like, what are we doing here? And it seems like that's all.
Yeah, I'm assuming that was the 100-day commemoration or whatever the hell they're calling it.
Oh, is that what it was?
Playing,
I see.
Yeah, he's trying to frame it. And what's interesting is I actually caught a little bit of that on one of the stations, and he spent more time pitching the 2016 to 2020 economic vision than what's happening right now. They know they're messing up.
Yeah.
It's becoming abundantly clear, and that stuck out to me during that little rally or whatever the hell they're calling that right now.
Thank you for calling, Steve. I appreciate it. Take care. Yeah, I just can't. I can't follow a lot. I'm actually not following any like specific news sources anymore. I mean, I'll read stuff. There's too much happening. How do you choose which topics? Like, I know you spent a lot of time prepping, in contrast to the way I put my show together, which is just screaming into the void. Like when you wake up, do you like try to go, okay, what's happening in the economy? What's happening with the constitutional aspect of everything, or is it just what's comes to the top fastest and loudest?
Yeah, no, it definitely is on a day-by-day basis. Like, it honestly weighs on me, Patty, because I think about this all the time, because I definitely enjoy the national stories, and there's people that download the show from all over. But first and foremost, I'm supposed to be servicing Northeast Wisconsin, and it's just so many of the stories feel so muted in a community right now, you know? So it's a matter of finding the stories. I'll be speaking in the early next week with somebody who works in Medicaid policy and her fears about the potential cuts coming down the pipeline specifically in our area, and just trying to find ways to tie it into the best of my ability. But, I mean, I had my frustrations with the way Joe Biden was doing things, but I'd have whole hours where I was just talking about, like, union successes and the necessity for unions, and that feels like it's a different show now compared to how it happens today, and it's been like a light switch. So I'm definitely, you asked me this question, and I'm kind of bearing my soul on it. It's a work in progress. I'm trying to figure out exactly how to process it, to be perfectly frank.
Hold on a second. Let me see. There's a listener's calling in. Ken, what's on your mind? Ken, you're on with me and Ben Cominos.
Hey, Ben. By the way, my mom grew up in Appleton, Wisconsin. I'm in the Chicago area for like 56 years.
Oh.
Today's my birthday.
Happy birthday!
But I'm also,
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm also the co-host for another show that's on the station on Sundays. And I just wanted to get your feeling in the climate, like, you know, the preponderance of these right-wing radio shows that are out there, and it just still makes my head explode that Trump actually got reelected. But it seems like there could be an existential threat to what we do. I'm talking on a progressive platform. And you kind of touched on that a little bit earlier in your conversation. And, like, you know, it's kind of funny. My wife is, like, saying to me, well, Ken, you know, don't say where you're from because, you know, someone can, like, you know, come into our environment and make stuff happen. So I just don't get it. And do you feel any more pressure doing what you're doing because of what we do?
Definitely more than I used to. But what's funny, Ken, is that I've got 2 or 3 MAGAs in my text line that tell me that they'll walk me out of the studio to make sure that I'm protected. Because I'm talking a lot of crap these days. But they still got my back, even though I'm saying it. It definitely crosses my mind.
Yeah.
It feels different, but at the same time, I'm not going to blow out of proportion what we do. I will admit, I've been taking my shots at ICE, and that seems to be one of the trigger warnings for the right now is talking about ICE. So I'm not going to stop. I'm sure Patty's not either, but it definitely feels different, to say the least.
Yes, it feels different. Believe me, I think I mentioned this. I don't know if I told you, I was looking into some jiu-jitsu classes, and I think that if you're going to grapple with somebody, it's already gotten too far out of hand. I don't want to be that close to anybody.
Sure. Yeah.
But I went in for one class, and everybody in the class was the kind of person I'm pretty sure I have to defend myself from, which means like dudes in their 30s or 40s, white dudes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, maybe I'll go back to CrossFit. But no, I've talked to people about like getting some self-defense. I've thought about getting some training and maybe getting, you know, carry and conceal in Chicago. I'm not kidding. And I mean, there have been times when I've felt threatened, but I also don't have a problem with protecting myself.
Right. I don't blame you for feeling that way. I've thought the same thing about a gun. Maybe I will cross that line down the road. Right. I haven't made the plunge yet.
Me either.
But, yeah, it's strange, and I try not to. I always try to avoid skies falling stuff, but there's just quite a few things that have happened the last, I'd say, month and a half that it's like, well, you're watching the political tide turn. The people that control the levers still haven't grown a spine yet, but call me Pollyannish. I do think it's trending the right way here, even if the wrong stuff has to happen while we're on our way to that.
I agree. Well, man. Well, on that note, Ben Cominos.
Yeah, right.
Some outside the box.
Hey, by the way, I'll have real quick. I have a very large Harvey K. Writes for Common Dreams. Very progressive, bright dude, FDR scholar on the show tomorrow, talking about the future of the Democratic Party. That's
excellent.
A much more optimistic conversation. So
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Ben. We look forward to talking to you again. Have a great evening, and talk to you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good, Patty. Actually, I'm going to wait on hold. Can I talk to you during the break?
Yeah, absolutely. Stand by.
Thank you.
More in a moment on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150 in Seattle, Washington. Oh, wait. And KTNF AM 950, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. We'll see partly cloudy skies tonight with temperatures falling back into the mid-40s and northeast winds at 5 to 10. Cloudy skies on Wednesday with a chance of showers, mainly in the afternoon, with high temperatures in the upper 50s. Thursday, we'll see a chance of thunderstorms with high temperatures in the upper 60s. Friday, cloudy, chance of afternoon showers. High temperatures in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 66.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
For the longest time, it was hard for me to even get out of the house, much less do a backside 180. It took me a bit to understand what was going on, but eventually I learned I had anxiety. Now I'm getting help for it and feeling so much better. Sure, some days are better than others, but the whole thing about getting out of the house, that's not really an issue anymore.
Mental health care is working to see what it can do for you at mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready for something bigger? Then we are looking for you. The big-hearted, the bold, the messy and the gutsy. The teachers, the growers, the builders. The skilled, the sharers. The change makers. We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities, working together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world together. From tackling climate change in Mexico to keeping kids healthy in Kenya, from sustainable farming in the Philippines to education in Kosovo. We learn more, give more, share freely, and serve boldly. Are you ready to tackle the tough stuff? To go the distance to make a difference? Then we have a place where you belong. Join us at peacecorps.gov.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. I know that we have some of our wonderful listeners in Seattle and in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and of course around the country and in some instances around the world. And there's so many topics that we've been covering. We often are discussing the news of the day, but I also want to make sure that we are thinking about how we care for ourselves and others. And joining me in the studio is Debra Wallace, who's talking about, who's written the book, How to Train My Brain, a Personalized and Playful Guidebook for Children and Their Caregivers. How you doing, Debra?
Hello.
Hi. Everything's
there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Yes. So I have two beautiful boys who, I don't think that when you and I were growing up in the 70s, 80s, 90s, whenever, I'm not going to guess your age, but like they didn't think about our brains. Let's be honest.
No.
It was like, get out of the house, do something that isn't loud and bothering me, right? And then I think that we started learning about the plasticity of a brain, and I feel like the aughts when we started talking about how a child's brain develops and how we can be a positive factor in that. So tell us, what was the inspiration for this book?
Well, it's actually interesting that you bring that up, because back then, actually, movement, getting outdoors was good for us.
Right. We didn't say it's good for your brain, just go do it. Yes.
And that's actually why we need it more now, because we don't have that space. And so what inspired me is actually, probably 8 years ago, I'm a family therapist. And so many parents bring their kids to me. And so many parents are getting mad, and there's a punitive approach to parenting and to discipline, when really a lot of children's behaviors are normal and also developmental in context, but also all negative behavior comes from a state of stress, unmet needs, and lacks of skills. Oh. And they need guidance.
Yes.
They need boundaries. We definitely need limits. But I was so blessed. So one of my first jobs outside of when I graduated with my master's degree was at Department of Human Services, where the worst case scenarios occur, where children are being removed from their families and abuse is happening. And I got to train with Dr. Bruce Perry, who's phenomenal. Look at Child Trauma Org. He's amazing. But I learned so much about the brain from meeting him, and it develops sequentially, and we have vital needs, and we need to feel safe and seen and soothed. And when we do that at these critical times of development, we grow and it can be our best selves. And so that's why I wrote the book, because as I was working with all these families and they'd bring my kids, I'm like, actually, I want to work with the parents. I want you to work together, because the parent-child relationship is the ultimate intervention. Your presence with that child is the best. And so we're not born with a manual. So I thought this is why it's a coloring book, because the child gets to draw all over it. You get to sit and bond with your child at the same time and get to know what helps them feel safe, what scares them, and helps them feel good and connected to you when they need you the most.
Well, and I think that, there's so many distractions, and I'm not just talking about like having kids play with tablets. Their parents are on phones. Their parents they're available for work or news or friends and whatever, right? 24/7. I mean, like they're going to sleep with it, waking up with it. Yeah. So I think that like being able to like do something tactile, right?
Because sensory base is key. The brain actually, we first learn creatively. It's actually the right side of the brain that develops first in the brain. And sensory base is the root brain, the bottom brain, our survival brain. So you need tactile, you need touch, you need sensory, you need movement. It's so key. And that's another reason why actually I had Pam Leo, who's a connected parenting. She's written books, it was like 40 years ago on this. And she reviewed my book and she goes, parents, the caregivers need their own copy and do it alongside with their child.
Right.
So that the child sees that experience, because it's so critical, that bonding, that experience. You're joining them. You're getting off the video. You're looking at each other. You're playing. You're laughing. It's important.
Well, and so the reason I've been thinking about it lately, so I go for hikes in the woods. We are, right now where we're sitting, we are a 10-minute walk to the forest preserves. I mean, like river, and like I could show you videos and you would not believe that you were still in Chicago, 100 feet from Central Avenue, right? Yes. And I see like moms with little ones, and I thought, like, I'm just as close. I'm 2 blocks just away from here. And I think that like it's hard to get creative or to think of the things that you could, like, you're in reach of. We think that we could buy them things, right? We think that like if we have like the best, Gymboree classes, or we have we think of like what we can purchase that we didn't have, instead of like that, like there's more basic connections we can make.
Right. Absolutely. Oh my God. It's simple and they're cheaper.
Yes, I know.
They're absolutely cheaper. But again, it's hard in this society. It's the business model here. It's consumerism.
That part.
Oh my God. It's in your face. Yeah. Like that's why I would taking my kids to the store. Actually, it's hard for me to go to grocery stores because kids are being punished and yelled at, they market to the kids.
Yep.
It's like, It's in the kid's face. They know what they're doing. They want to get the kids' attention, and they market the things for the kids to have a temper tantrum at.
Right. I think that that making those connections, both for the kids and for the caregivers, to also like lessen that. There's a way to lessen the stress of the need to like be constantly buying something or classes. And that's the thing is classes and sports have also consumed us, haven't they?
Yes, they absolutely have. Because although they're good, it's been too competitive. They become too much, and then it's stress. Then you're just adding stress to the system. It's too much.
Yeah. Did you play any sports when you were growing up?
I did. Well, What'd
you play?
I was at a very small Catholic school, so you had to be in everything because there was only 14 people.
Okay, all right.
So I did volleyball. I was the pom-poms, the dance, the cheerleader, track and field. So,
but here's the thing: we knew in all those, and I think I did all those. I did volleyball, softball, basketball, whatever. I was cheer, right? Same thing. I graduated in a class of 17, so similar, right? Lutheran though, but none of us were gonna. We knew no one was gonna be
recreation,
right? It wasn't like fun. There wasn't practice like for 3 hours. It's crazy.
The standards are way too high. We're just adding so much stress to our nervous systems. It's ridiculous. And that's why we can't be creative because we're so dysregulated. We're so stressed out. You can't think clearly. You can't function your best. It's just too much.
So what's a good way for folks who? Well, first of all, where do they find your book?
Well, on my website is positivereframe.org because ideally I have so many nonprofit things I would love to do. But yes, positivereframe.org. And you can buy it there. That's where I have it. And so a simple thing. Well, like what I would prescribe, my prescription to every family was, it's not quantity, it's quality time.
Right.
And so there's this formula of 10, 20, 10. At bare minimum, 10 minutes in the morning, like before they wake up, go to their bed, maybe whisper something nice, like connect to your child.
Oh, what?
Like I would even for my kids play like a sweet little meditation that was attuned to something that I knew that they were struggling with, but connect to them. Yeah. So even 10 minutes might seem like too much. So I'll say even 5 minutes. If you do 5, 10, 5, make 5 minutes in the morning to look at them with no pressure, no stress. Say something nice, connect, something, play their favorite music, do something on their level. And that's really key with this quality time. It's getting on their level without directives, without an agenda, just to be with your child. And so then 10 minutes after school, I really recommend that kids have a break after school. It's nonstop. So if you can at least spend 10 minutes, I know there are lots has to get done, but nothing is more important than your connection and your relationship with your child. That is how you have the most influence in their life, is by your relationship with them. So if you can take at least 10 minutes, asking open-ended questions, being curious, doing something they love, even if maybe it is a video game at this point. Fair enough. Play 10 minutes of their ridiculous video game with them and laugh.
Right. What?
And then 5 minutes before bed. So it's like if you can make just connect, make this time. That is the bare minimum.
And I feel like we can do this with the people in our homes, right? And even with ourselves.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like take 10 minutes to, in the morning, and like maybe it's before you do those connections with the people you love in your house, to like say something nice to yourself, because then you can say nice things to other people, I think, too.
It does start with you. That's actually, as a therapist, I say the best, most important relation you have to start with is the one within ourselves, because most of us didn't get our vital needs met.
What? I love you, Mommy. It wasn't you, it was the times.
And that's what I talk about. It's not about blame. It's not about blame. It's just what happened.
I mean, we don't say it's about blame.
Right. It's responsibility.
Exactly. Yes. We were talking to Debra Wallace. She's written the book, How to Train My Brain, a personalized and playful guidebook for children and their caregivers, which I would contend we are our own caregivers. So I'm still my own kid. I'm just saying. Let's take a break here and continue our conversation on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW Alternative Talk in Seattle, Washington, and KTNF AM 950 Seattle and Minneapolis, St. Paul. There's so many places. I want more. I want more cities. I'll say them all, I promise.
Think Theory Radio.
We're joined by Allie Mae Miller, hypnotherapist.
Hypnosis is portrayed in media in general. Manipulation, mind control. People think it's like a truth serum. My clients describe it as they're in control the whole time. It's definitely not a truth serum. The client decides what they share with me, even in a state of hypnosis.
Think Theory Radio with Damian Perdue. Saturdays at 6 p.m. on WCPT 820. Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
40% of the nation's food supply goes uneaten each year. Dana Gunders, project scientist with the Natural Resources Defense Council's Food and Agriculture Program, says 9 out of 10 consumers, at least sometimes, misinterpret the meaning of expiration dates.
There are really 2 buckets of phrases. One is those phrases that are meant for businesses to speak to each other, like the manufacturer speaking to the store, telling them with a sell-by date that if the product is sold by that date, it will indeed have some life left for the consumer after the consumer purchases it and gets it home. The other bucket of dates are those that are meant to speak directly to us as consumers, and those are your use by and best before. And those are really indicators of when the food is at its peak quality. But they are not meant to tell us that the food is unsafe to eat.
With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Union Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversity Beer, Wine and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. I want to thank our guests in studio for having to do some off-the-air work. Debra Wallace, she's a family therapist, and she's also written the book, How to Train My Brain, a Personalized and Playful Guidebook for Children and Their Caregivers. And I think I want to thank you for writing this, and I know that you write it from a place of, you know, we talk about empathy. We were talking about that off the air, empathy and compassion. You can't teach that necessarily, can you?
No. The interesting thing is we're actually born with it. We have mirror neurons. Like, kids are naturally empathetic. Like, if you notice, if you were to cry, a lot of times your little kids will bring you something. Like, my son, I remember he would officiate group hugs. Like, he saw me sad, he would come. It's actually, there is some normalness to it. But our society, the way we react so quickly and are so fear-based, we kind of brush it out of them. But yes, we also do need a well-integrated brain to have the full empathy, to be able to access the full functioning of that.
What is the walk it off? Walk it off. Like, that seems like, I don't know if it's like taught to us from the boomers and then, right? Because it went from the boomers to Gen X, walk it off. Or like someone like teaching you how to ride a bike. Like, I think I have trust issues because my dad said he would not let go of the bike, and he did. I get this a style of teaching. Right. I get that, but I got the scars to show that maybe it wasn't the only choice.
And this is why there's actually, what I try to promote, there's actually a sweet spot. We tend to go to one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
And there's actually this beautiful sweet spot where you can still hold space and say, yeah, that sucks. I can see that's hard for you. And how about you go for a walk? Like, invite them, because walking is good. That is a good thing.
Right.
Because once we're activated.
Because you don't stiffen the joints.
Exactly.
You don't tighten up from the trauma of the injury.
Yes,
to relax.
That's actually why wild animals don't trauma, because they'll run it out. They'll freeze, they'll do what they need to do, and then they get to run it out.
Right.
So movement is actually a healthy thing, but it's how we do it.
Right.
You can do it with respect and give them some agency in the process, and not just then demand them something and dismiss them in the process of it. You can hold space and invite the walk.
And when you say that it's natural to us, we're born with it, I think that we also have all owned. So I had a beautiful dog who, when I was crying, would cuddle up with me. So we know that biologically, we recognize a sign of distress in each other.
Yes.
But what we decide as humans, we label it as weakness or annoying.
Right. So then we learn. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And there's mirror neurons. So much of what we learn, especially the first 7 years, is implicit memory. You don't know. You're just reacting to how you're being treated. But really, empathy is so, oh my gosh, it's so natural to want to comfort someone you love. But then we're often not being supported. And then we get confused and the wires get messed up.
You mentioned earlier that some of the acting out or behaviors that people, we would consider to not be appropriate or bad behaviors come from a place of stress.
Yes.
So it's hard for a parent when they're in the middle of chaos and there's dirty diapers and dirty dishes and, all kinds of things going on. How do caregivers take a moment to try to identify what's happening?
Well, usually again, it's always developmental age, because obviously if they're much smaller, they might need someone to rush in more quickly and set a firm boundary. But often I tell parents, you want a role model. So if you're getting activated and you're starting to notice, oh my gosh, I got too much going on, narrate, name. I often say it's almost like sportscasting when you're watching a show. Like okay, mom's trying to do this. I hear you. There's only one mom. You want this and you want that. Mommy's feeling stressed. I'm going to take a deep breath. I need a moment.
Right.
And then you can also redirect. It's often role modeling at first, putting in a drink, doing what you need to do to get calm and helping your nervous system feel safe and all that. And letting them know so that they know they have some data. Because name it to tame it is another saying that's used a lot in neuroscience and parenting, because our brain likes order. It likes to make sense of things.
Sure.
And so if you can at least name what's going on and say it out loud, not only are you role modeling, you're also giving them, oh yeah, mom is right. There's a lot going on. And then actually kids are intelligent. They can start connecting the dots when you put it out there. But yeah, it's number one. First, put on your own oxygen mask and breathe, and then narrate it. Just say it out loud and request what you need. I need. And here's the thing. I've talked about this before. We talk about mental health and, going to talk to somebody, going to a therapist. I really do think we need to put this at the same level as get your teeth checked every 6 months. Yes.
Everybody. So when you're making your dental appointment, go, when can I get it? It doesn't have to be on the same day. Or maybe you need that.
Right.
But we do need these checkups, don't you think?
Yeah, I believe everyone, I'm biased, of course.
Yes.
I think everyone would value to go at least once in their lifetime.
In their lifetime?
At least once go. But yeah, I think everyone would value to go, because a lot of people think you just have to have a problem. Like everyone, it's because what becomes trauma is typical things that you think didn't bother you plays out in relationships. That first 3 years of life creates the blueprint for all future relationships. And stuff happens. Things get downloaded and planted in you. Patterns happen, and everyone would benefit at least once going. But yes, the better. Ideally, the more you go. But yes, I think everyone can benefit.
At the very least, I don't know what to schedule it with, but find something in your calendar to go, let me go talk to somebody.
Yes.
What do you recommend to folks when they're looking for a therapist? Because we can all buy Debra Wallace's new book.
Yes.
But where can we find, what's the best way to find someone to talk to?
Well, what I recommend is to go by referrals. I recommend I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, so I'm biased. But the most important thing is that you're rapport with a therapist. So there are many social workers, mental health providers, and I offer a free consult personally because I think it's a big investment, and that I think it's important that it's like your consumer. Call them, ask questions, be informed, see if they're a good fit, see if they will meet you to see if it's a good fit for you, because that's vital. And then ask other family. A lot of people aren't talking about it, whether they're going, but maybe start asking and seeing if there's other referrals and recommendations.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that. And I can't remember what happened. I had an exchange with, I think it was a guest, and I told them my specific situation, and they were like, here's somebody that specializes in childhood, traumas or things like that. And the other thing is our brains are constantly changing. So you don't have to have necessarily like what you might consider trauma, but anything is like perimenopause.
Exactly.
Like I know so many women who are telling me, you didn't tell me. I'm like, I didn't know what to tell you.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
But they feel crazy.
Right. Oh my God. And that can last 2 to 10 years, perimenopause. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Of course you are.
I'm so great.
Of course you are, but yes.
Have you seen my emotional support dumpster fire?
Oh, I have not. That is awesome.
Well, before we let you go, what got you interested in pursuing this career?
Well, I have a joke.
Yes.
I would say that I knew I would be in therapy the rest of my life, so I might as well go to school.
Oh my God.
And pay for it. So then I get to apply it to myself.
Yep.
For free as I want it, and then help people as well. So, and then also I had a friend in high school who had anorexia. And when I was getting my bachelor's in psychology, there's a little blurb that said marriage and family therapy helps with eating disorders. And I had, I was like, well, that makes sense. So then that's what's made licensed marriage and family therapy. But yeah. And I just always loved children, and I always loved the mind and understanding why people we love hurt us. Unfortunately, that's a pattern. And that's why my book really talks about love versus fear. And now I know the answer, why people that love us can also hurt us.
Yes. Yeah, agreed. Thank you so much. It's Debra Wallace.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Anytime. Please come join us again. Love these conversations. The book is How to Train My Brain, a personalized and playful guidebook for children and their caregivers. Where's the best place? Positiveframe.org?
Positivereframe.org, correct. My website.
So it's positivereframe.org, and all the information is available there.
Yes. There'll be a tab for under my name. There'll be one for my book. I have lots of resources I share as well. I love sharing resources. Free.
And we all need a little bit of help, everybody. So take care of yourself. When you take care of yourself, you can also care for other people in your life.
Exactly.
A big part of it.
It makes a huge, that's actually how you can give the best, is by taking care of yourself. So you can be your best.
Oxygen mask first.
Exactly.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to having you back anytime. And I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. I want to thank Ben Cominos, our friend from Milwaukee, former federal prosecutor Steve Kravit. And we also want to thank Debra Wallace in studio with us, all of our listeners who called in tonight. We want to, tomorrow, you know what? There's so many things I need to tell you. Before we go, I probably should let you know about this. If you have a ticket for WCPT's anniversary broadcast at Max and Benny's at 11 p.m., doors open at 10:30. We look forward to seeing you. If you don't have a ticket, please tune in between 11 and 3 to hear Hal Sparks, Richard Chu, Scott Duff, Joan, and me. And it's sponsored, of course, by Max and Benny's, Fazio Insurance, Smart 265, the Democratic Party of Canaan County, and Southland Friends of the Labor Democratic Party of McHenry County and McHenry County Democratic Women. Thank you so much, Paul Shivari. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you later.
This is a WCPT Better